Millionaire, bound in the basement, is shocked when saved by black beggar sisters at the market. Arthur Blackwood, Wall Street titan, chained. Not in his fancy penthouse, oh no. Down in a Brooklyn basement. A rusty pipe his only friend. Can you believe it? His suit, a joke now. Ripped, stained, clinging to bone. 3 days. Tony the Bricksman, a ghost from Arthur's past, serving up revenge cold. Andrew, his brother, already eyeing the throne? Maybe. Then, a squeak. 2 tiny figures, Lily and Rose Miller, market scavengers, faces smudged, eyes bright. Like little angels, but tough ones. The bodega's next score, Lily an apple half gone, Rose a beat-up teddy bear. They see Arthur, frozen. Are you okay, mister? Lily's voice a tiny bird. Arthur a nod. Explains everything. The kidnapping, the betrayal. His words a desperate tumble. The girls look at each other. They know bad stuff. Street smart, see? Rose offers water. Grimy bottle. Tastes like rust and despair. But to Arthur, like the best champagne he's ever had. Hours pass. Bread, stale as yesterday's news. A blanket from a trash heap. Then, a miracle. Bolt cutters. Lily found them. Tiny hands, straining. Snap. The chains fall away. Arthur's free. Weak. Dazed. Thank you, he whispers. I don't know how to repay you. Crash. Tony the Brick is back. Sounds like a rhino on a rampage. The twins huddle, terror in their eyes. Arthur, weak as he is, steps in front. No way he'll let them get hurt. But wait, what's that glinting? A locket, silver, around Rose's neck. Identical to the one his dead wife, Sarah, wore. A cold wave crashes over him. No, it can't be. Rose, he asks, voice trembling now. Where did you get that locket? The crash gets closer. Rose stares, suspicion growing. The door bursts open. Tony the Brick is there, crowbar raised. But Arthur, he's lost in Rose's eyes. What dark secret from his past is about to explode? And how are these innocent girls connected to it all? Ei, antes de continuarmos com essa história incrível, preciso te fazer alerta importante. Muitos inscritos têm relatado que o YouTube removeu suas inscrições sem aviso. Dá só uma conferida rápida no botão vermelho aí embaixo para garantir que você ainda está inscrito no canal. Não quero que você perca nenhum conteúdo exclusivo que vem por aí. E já que você está aí, deixa aquele like poderoso que me ajuda muito com o algoritmo. Ah, e me conta nos comentários de qual cidade você está assistindo. Adoro conhecer cada pessoa incrível que faz parte dessa comunidade. Sua participação faz toda a diferença. Vamos interagir. Rose, he asks, voice trembling now. Where did you get that locket? The crash gets closer. Rose stares, suspicion growing. The door bursts open. Tony the Brick is there, crowbar raised. But Arthur, he's lost in Rose's eyes. What dark secret from his past is about to explode? And how are these innocent girls connected to it all? Tony raises the crowbar. Say your prayers, Blackwood. Arthur tenses. He's ready to take the hit. For Sarah, for these kids. Rose whispers, Mama gave it to me. Said it was hers when she was little. The crowbar freezes midair. Tony's face, it crumples, like he's seen a ghost, a real one. Sarah? He croaks. That locket. It can't be. He drops the crowbar like it's burned him. Arthur's confused. What the heck is going on? Tony was supposed to be his enemy. She was your wife? Rose asks, eyes wide. Lily clutches her teddy tighter. Tony nods, tears welling. Tony the bricksman? Crying? This is insane. She left years ago. Said I was no good. Broke my heart. He looks at Arthur, pure pain in his eyes. You knew her? Arthur swallows hard. She was my wife too, Tony. Before she died. 15 years ago in a car crash. Silence. Thick, heavy silence. The kind that crushes you. Then Tony does something nobody expects. He sinks to his knees. Right there, in the grimy basement. He starts to sob. Not just cry. Sob, like his soul is breaking. She never died, he wails. She never died. She had my kid, my kids. He looks at Lily and Rose. My God, my girls. Arthur's head spins. This can't be happening. Sarah, alive with Tony? And these girls, his daughters? He feels like he's been punched in the gut. Suddenly, a siren wails in the distance. Getting closer. Tony jumps up. Gotta go! Cops are coming! He grabs Rose and Lily's hands. We're leaving! Wait! Arthur yells. You can't just cake them! Tony stops, turns back, a desperate look on his face. I'm their father, Blackwood. You can't keep them from me. And Sarah, she wouldn't want. You two. He yanks the girls towards the back door. They don't resist. They look conflicted, scared. As they disappear into the night, Rose turns back. Her eyes lock with Arthur's. She whispers, he's lying. Then they're gone. The sirens scream closer. Arthur is left alone, chained again, but this time, it's not metal that binds him. It's the truth, or a lie. He doesn't even know anymore. He knew Sarah, or did he? Was she really the sweet, loving woman he'd mourned for all these years? Or was she someone else entirely? A woman with secrets and 2 families? And what did Rose mean by, he's lying? And the biggest question of all, what kind of game was Sarah playing? And why? He knew Sarah. Or did he? Was she really the sweet, loving woman he'd mourned for all these years? Or was she someone else entirely? A woman with secrets and 2 families? And what did Rose mean by, he's lying? And the biggest question of all, what kind of game was Sarah playing? And why? The sirens were almost on top of him. Blue and red lights flashing through the basement window. He had to get out. Had to find Rose and Lily and Tony. Had to find Sarah's ghost, if that's what she was. He tugged at the chains. Still locked. Useless. Suddenly, a voice right above him. Need a hand, Blackwood? He looked up. Standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the flashing lights, was Andrew, his brother, the one who was maybe eyeing the throne. Andrew, what the hell are you doing here? Andrew smiled. A cold, chilling smile. Cleaning up a mess, Arthur. The one you made. He strolled down the stairs, a glint of metal in his hand. Not bolt cutters. A gun. You set this up, didn't you? You and Tony? Andrew chuckled. Tony was a useful idiot. Easy to manipulate. He wanted revenge. I wanted your company and your life. He raised the gun. Say goodbye, big brother. Arthur closed his eyes. This was it. Betrayed by everyone. Then a blood-curdling scream from upstairs. Not Andrew. A woman, followed by the sound of breaking glass. Andrew froze. What was that? He hesitated, gun wavering. He was clearly not expecting this. Then, another scream, closer this time. Andrew swore. Stay here. He turned and bolted up the stairs, gun still in his hand. Arthur strained, listening. What was going on? He heard shouts, a scuffle, then silence. A long, terrifying silence. Finally, footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Someone was coming back down. Arthur braced himself. Was it Andrew? Or someone else? The figure emerged from the shadows. Not Andrew, Sarah. But not the Sarah he remembered. This Sarah was different. Older, harder. Her eyes burned with a cold fire. She wore a leather jacket, ripped jeans, and combat boots. She looked like she'd been through hell and back, and enjoyed the ride. In her hand, she held Andrew's gun. Sarah? Arthur whispered. But you're dead. She laughed, a harsh, brittle sound. Not quite, darling, though I'm sure you wished I was. She tossed the gun onto the floor. It clattered against the concrete. What is going on? Who are you? Arthur demanded, fear and confusion battling inside him. Sarah knelt down, her face inches from his. The question is, Arthur, she said, her voice a low, menacing purr. Who are you? She reached into her pocket and pulled out something small and silver. A locket, identical to the one Rose was wearing. Identical to the one he gave her years ago. She snapped it open. Inside, a tiny picture. Not of her, not of him, but of Tony the bricksman. You see, Arthur, she whispered, her eyes gleaming with a dark triumph. Tony wasn't just my husband. He was your brother. Arthur's mind exploded. His brother, Tony, Sarah's husband? It was impossible. It couldn't be true. But the look on Sarah's face told him everything. It was true. All of it. And then he understood. The betrayal. The kidnapping. The whole damn thing. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about revenge. It was about family. A twisted, broken, horrifying family. And he was right in the middle of it. Sarah stood up, her shadow looming over him. Welcome to the family, Arthur. The sirens wailed louder, closer, but Arthur didn't care anymore. He was trapped, not by chains, but by a secret so dark, so twisted, it would destroy everything he thought he knew. And as the police burst through the door, he knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. Sarah stood up, her shadow looming over him. Welcome to the family, Arthur. The sirens wailed louder, closer, but Arthur didn't care anymore. He was trapped, not by chains, but by a secret so dark, so twisted. It would destroy everything he thought he knew. And as the police burst through the door, he knew one thing for sure. This was only the beginning. The cops swarmed in, guns drawn. Freeze! Don't move! Typical. But Sarah, she just smiled, like she was expecting them. It's okay, officers, she said, cool as ice. I'm the victim here. This man, she pointed at Arthur, kidnapped me. What? Kidnapped her? Arthur stared, speechless. This woman was insane. That's a lie, he yelled. She's playing you. The cops weren't buying it. They cuffed Arthur tight. "You have the right to remain silent." The usual. As they dragged him out, he saw Sarah talking to one of the officers, smiling, laughing, like they were old friends. Then she did something that made his blood run cold. She winked, not at him, at the officer. And the officer winked back. He was being framed, set up, and Sarah was behind it all. But why? They shoved him into the back of a patrol car. He looked back at the basement, at Sarah. She blew him a kiss, a mocking, cruel kiss. He was going to jail for something he didn't do, and Sarah was going to get away with it. Unless he remembered Rose's words. He's lying. She knew something. Something about Tony. Something about Sarah. He had to find. Those girls. They were the only ones who could clear his name. The patrol car sped off, sirens blaring. He was alone, helpless. But then he felt something in his pocket. Something small, something cold. He reached in, his fingers trembling. He pulled it out, a hairpin. Not just any hairpin, Sarah's hairpin. The one she always used to wear in her hair. The one he hadn't seen in 15 years. How did it get there? Did she plant it? Or did someone else? He stared at the hairpin. It was more than just a piece of metal. It was a clue, a message. And then it hit him, like a ton of bricks. Rose. It had to be Rose. She slipped it into his pocket when they were hugging. A tiny act of rebellion. A silent plea for help. He knew what he had to do. He had to escape. He had to find Rose and Lily. And he had to uncover the truth about Sarah, no matter how dark it was. He looked at the hairpin. A tiny piece of metal. But it was enough. It was hope. He started working on the cuffs. Slowly. Carefully. The cops weren't paying attention. They were too busy laughing at him. He could do this. He had to. For himself, for Rose and Lily, and for the memory of the woman. He thought he knew. He heard the cops talking. He's going away for a long time. Good riddance. He had it coming. He ignored them. He focused on the cuffs. Click. One down. Click. Two down. He was free. He waited for the right moment. The car slowed down at a red light. He took a deep breath, and then he kicked out the back window. Glass shattered everywhere. The cops screamed. He jumped out of the car and ran, as fast as he could. He didn't look back. He was a fugitive now. A wanted man. But he didn't care. He had a hairpin. He had a mission. And he had a shocking realization. Something so earth-shattering it made his blood run cold. Something that changed everything. He stopped running. He stood there, in the middle of the street. Cars honking, people staring. He knew who Sarah really was. He knew why she did what she did. He knew the game she was playing. She wasn't just Sarah. She was his mother. She wasn't just Sarah. She was his mother. The world tilted. Moms don't fake death. Moms don't marry their sons, even if they don't know. It was insane. A memory flickered. A woman's voice singing him to sleep. a locket, identical to the one Rose had. He always thought it was Sarah's way of keeping her own mother close. But now, he stumbled, almost falling. The cop car was long gone. He was alone on the street, the taste of shattered glass and disbelief thick in his mouth. He needed to find Lily and Rose. But how? They were with Tony, who was his uncle? Half-brother? This was a goddamn Jerry Springer episode gone wrong. He started walking, just putting one foot in front of the other. He needed a plan. He needed a drink. He ducked into a dive bar, the kind with sticky floors and flickering neon signs. Ordered a whiskey, neat. The burn in his throat did little to soothe the chaos in his head. He pulled out Sarah's hairpin again. It was cheap, plastic, but held more weight than all the gold on Wall Street. He rubbed his thumb over it, trying to find some answers. Suddenly, a voice. "Looking for someone, pal?" He looked up. A burly guy, leather jacket, eyes that had seen too much. The kind you find in places like this. "Just thinking," Arthur mumbled. The guy chuckled. "Thinking gets you nowhere. Knowing gets you everywhere." He slid onto the stool next to Arthur. "Name's Frankie. I'm a finder. Find things. Find people." Arthur hesitated. Could he trust this guy? He had no choice. "I need to find two girls, Lily and Rose, and a guy named Tony Brixman." Frankie's eyes narrowed. "Tony the Brick? That's a tough one. He's got friends and enemies. Why you looking for him?" Arthur took a long swig of his whiskey. "It's complicated. Family business. Real complicated." Frankie grinned. "Family business is my specialty." He scribbled something on a napkin. "Meet me here tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. I'll see what I can dig up." Arthur nodded, feeling a sliver of hope. He finished his drink and headed out, the city lights blurring around him. He had a long night ahead. He spent the next few hours wandering the streets, replaying every moment with Sarah, every conversation, every touch. Was it all a lie? Had she been manipulating him from the start? And why? Why would she pretend to be someone else, marry him, and then fake her own death? He ended up back at his penthouse. Empty. Cold. It felt like a tomb. He couldn't stay there. He packed a bag, grabbed some cash, and left. He needed to disappear. He checked into a cheap motel on the outskirts of town, the kind where the sheets smelled like bleach and regret. He lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Then, a knock at the door. He froze. Who could it be? The cops? Andrew? Sarah? He crept to the door and peeked through the peephole. It wasn't the cops. It wasn't Andrew, and it definitely wasn't Sarah. It was Lily, alone. She looked terrified. Her eyes were red and swollen. She was clutching her beat-up teddy bear. He yanked open the door. "Lily, what are you doing here? Where's Rose? Where's Tony?" She burst into tears. He's gone crazy. He's not our dad. He lied. He was hurting Rose." Arthur pulled her inside, his heart pounding. "Hurting her? What happened?" She sniffled, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. He said we weren't his real daughters, that we were experiments, that she was watching us, testing us. He said she'd be back soon, to collect us." Experiments? Collect them? What the hell was going on? This was crazier than he could have imagined. "Where is he now? Where's Rose?" Arthur asked, his voice trembling. Lily shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "He took her. He said she was the chosen one, that Sarah needed her. He took her to the old Blackwood estate, by the lake." The old Blackwood estate? The place where his father? The place where he? A wave of nausea washed over him. He knew that place, knew it too well. It was a place of darkness, a place of secrets. He looked at Lily, her small face etched with fear. He knew what he had to do. He had to save Rose. He had to stop Tony. And he had to confront Sarah, no matter what the cost. But as he looked into Lily's eyes, he saw something else. Something that made his blood run colder than ever before. Something that changed everything. Lily wasn't just scared. She was glowing. Not literally, but different. There was an unnatural light in her eyes, a power emanating from her. And then she spoke. Her voice wasn't Lily's voice. It was deeper, older, wiser. "Don't bother," she said, the voice echoing in the small motel room. "You can't stop what's coming. It's already too late. She's already here." Arthur stared, paralyzed. Lily, or whatever was inside her, smiled. A chilling, knowing smile. "Hello, Arthur," the voice purred. "I've been waiting a long time to meet you, my son." And then the lights went out. "Don't bother," she said, the voice echoing in the small motel room. "You can't stop what's coming. It's already too late. She's already here." Arthur stared, paralyzed. Lily, or whatever was inside her, smiled. A chilling, knowing smile. "Hello, Arthur," the voice purred. "I've been waiting a long time to meet you, my son." And then the lights went out. Total darkness. A scream caught in Arthur's throat. He fumbled for Lily, but she was gone. Just gone. 1 second there, the next, nothing. He scrambled to his feet, bumping into the cheap furniture. Where was she? What the hell was happening? The lights flickered back on, dim, casting long, eerie shadows. The room was empty, except on the bed where Lily had been standing was a single object, a small silver locket, identical to the ones Rose and Sarah wore. But this one was different. It was open, and inside, a picture of him as a baby, being held by a woman he'd never seen before, a woman with cold, calculating eyes, a woman who looked familiar. He picked up the locket, his hands shaking. He had to get out of there. Now. He burst out of the motel room, adrenaline pumping. He ran to his car, fumbling with the keys. He had to get to the Blackwood estate. He had to find Rose. He drove like a maniac, the speedometer creeping higher and higher. The road blurred before him. He couldn't think, couldn't breathe, just drive. He reached the estate gates. They were open, a bad sign. He drove through, the tires crunching on the gravel driveway. The house loomed before him, dark and foreboding. It had been abandoned for years. Rumors of ghosts, of dark rituals. He'd dismissed them all, But now, he parked the car and got out, his heart pounding in his chest. He walked to the front door. It was unlocked. He pushed it open and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and decay. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling. The smell of mildew and something else, something metallic like blood. "Rose?" he called out, his voice echoing through the empty house. "Tony? Sarah?" Silence. He started to explore, room by room, each one worse than the last. Overturned furniture, broken glass, bloodstains on the walls. It looked like a war zone. He reached the basement. He hesitated. He didn't want to go down there. But he took a deep breath and started down the stairs. The basement was dark and damp. The smell of blood was stronger here. He could hear a faint sound, a whimpering. "Rose?" he whispered. He followed the sound deeper into the basement. He reached a room he didn't recognize, a room that hadn't been there before. It was a laboratory, a makeshift laboratory, with tables covered in beakers, test tubes, and wires. In the center of the room, Rose. She was strapped to a table, her eyes closed. She was surrounded by machines, blinking lights, and strange devices. Standing over her was Tony. He was wearing a white coat, his face contorted with madness. "Tony, what are you doing? Let her go!" Arthur yelled. Tony looked up, his eyes wide and vacant. "She's the key, Arthur. The key to everything. Sarah needs her. We all need her." "Sarah? What are you talking about?" Suddenly, a voice that chilled Arthur to the bone, a voice he thought he'd never hear again. "He's telling the truth, Arthur." Sarah stepped out of the shadows. She was wearing a long, flowing gown, her face pale and gaunt. She looked like a ghost. "Sarah? But you're dead," Arthur stammered. She smiled, a cold, cruel smile. "Death is a matter of perspective, darling. I've been waiting, planning, preparing. Preparing for what? For you, Arthur. For us. For our family." She gestured to Rose on the table. "She's the final piece, Arthur. With her, we can finally transcend." "Transcend? What does that even mean?" Sarah's eyes glowed with an unnatural light. "It means we can become something more, Arthur. Something better. Something eternal." She raised her hand. A signal. Suddenly, the machines around Rose began to whir and hum. The lights flickered brighter. The air crackled with energy. Rose began to scream. Arthur lunged forward, trying to reach her, but Tony blocked his way. "Don't interfere, Arthur. This is for your own good." They fought. A brutal, desperate fight. Arthur was stronger, fueled by rage and fear. But Tony was crazy. He fought like a man possessed. Arthur finally managed to knock Tony to the ground. He stumbled towards Rose, reaching for the straps that held her down. But it was too late. The machines were at full power. The room was filled with a blinding light. And then, everything went white. Arthur woke up on the floor. His head was pounding. His body ached. He looked around. The laboratory was gone. The machines were gone. Rose was gone. Sarah and Tony were gone too. He was alone, in the dark. He stumbled to his feet and walked out of the basement. He walked out of the house. He walked out of the estate gates. He didn't know where he was going. He didn't know what he was doing. All he knew was that everything had changed. He reached his car. He got in and started the engine. He drove away. He drove for hours, not knowing where he was going. He just drove. Finally, he stopped at a roadside diner. He went inside and sat down at the counter. He ordered a coffee, black. He needed something to clear his head. The waitress brought him his coffee. She looked at him with concern. "You okay, honey? You look like you've seen a ghost." Arthur stared at her, his mind racing. He had seen a ghost. He had seen many ghosts. He took a sip of his coffee. It tasted bitter. Suddenly, the diner door opened. A woman walked in. Arthur looked up. His heart stopped. It was Sarah. But not the Sarah he had seen in the basement. This Sarah was younger, more vibrant, more alive. She smiled at him. A warm, loving smile. "Hello, Arthur," she said. "It's so good to see you again." Arthur stared at her, speechless. "Don't you recognize me, darling?" she said, her voice soft and gentle. "It's me, your mother." She reached into her purse and pulled out something small and silver, a locket. She snapped it open. Inside, a big picture. A picture of Arthur, as a baby, being held by her. But this time, there was something else in the picture. Something that made Arthur's blood run cold. In the background, standing behind Sarah, was another figure. A figure shrouded in shadows. A figure with piercing eyes and a cruel smile. A figure that Arthur recognized. It wasn't Tony. It wasn't Andrew. It was him. Standing behind his mother, holding a knife. And then Arthur understood. He wasn't Sarah's son. He was Sarah. He had been Sarah all along. The Sarah he knew. The Sarah who had died. The Sarah who had returned. They were all him. A fractured personality. A twisted experiment. And he was about to become whole again. And the locket? It wasn't just a locket. It was a trigger, a key. And as Sarah, no, as he, as they, reached out a hand, Arthur knew one thing. The game was far from over. It was just beginning. And Rose? Rose was the prize. But for whom? He looked at the locket, at the picture, at his own face smiling back at him. He felt a jolt of something alien, like a memory, not his own, flooding his mind. He knew what he had to do. He had to stop himself before it was too late. But how could he stop someone when he was that someone? The Sarah that Arthur thought he knew was a lie, a fabrication. It was always him. He was the architect of this twisted game, the puppet master pulling all the strings. He looked into Sarah's eyes, his own eyes, and saw the depths of his own depravity. He was capable of anything, and he was coming for Rose. But something else flickered behind those eyes, a hint of fear, a whisper of doubt. Maybe, just maybe, there was still a part of him, a part of Arthur, that could fight back. The diner door slammed open. Two figures stood silhouetted against the light. It was Rose and Lily. But they weren't looking at him. They were looking at Sarah, and in their eyes was a power that Arthur had never seen before, a power that could rival even his own. "It's time to end this," Rose said, her voice ringing with a chilling authority. "Sarah, The name hung in the air, heavy with meaning. And then Lily smiled, and Arthur knew. He wasn't the only one with a secret. Lily and Rose weren't just sisters. They were something else entirely. And they were ready to play. "It's time to end this," Rose said, her voice ringing with a chilling authority. "Sarah." The name hung in the air, heavy with meaning. And then Lily smiled, and Arthur knew. He wasn't the only one with a secret. Lily and Rose weren't just sisters. They were something else entirely, and they were ready to play. The air crackled. Something shifted. Sarah, his mother, or rather he, still in Sarah's form, stumbled back. A look of genuine fear crossed his face. Her face. It was unsettling, seeing his own terror reflected back at him like that. What are you doing?" he stammered, the smooth feminine voice now trembling. Rose stepped forward. Lily stayed back, her smile widening, almost predatory. It was like watching a wolf pack corner its prey. But who was the prey here? Him? Sarah? Both? "We're taking back what's ours," Rose said, her eyes glowing brighter. A strange symbol shimmered on her forehead, barely visible, like a brand under her skin. Suddenly, the diner started to shake. Not a gentle tremor, but a violent, earth-shattering quake. People screamed, diving under tables. The lights flickered, then died. Total darkness. And then, a single beam of light. It shone down on Rose, illuminating her like a spotlight on a stage. And she changed. Not like Arthur, Sarah changed. This was different. Her body shimmered, as if her very molecules were rearranging themselves. Her bones creaked, her skin stretched, and then with a final bone-jarring crack, she grew. Rose was gone. Standing in her place was a woman. But not a woman like Sarah. This one was ethereal, towering. Her face was beautiful, but alien. Her eyes burned with celestial fire. Lily bowed her head. "Mother," she whispered. Arthur's mind imploded. Mother? Rose was their mother? The thing that used to be Rose turned its gaze on Sarah, and a wave of pure, unadulterated power slammed into him. He crumpled to the floor, gasping for air. His memories, his lies, his entire reality began to unravel. He saw fragments of lives he never lived, faces he never knew, and a truth so terrifying, so monumental, that it threatened to shatter his very being. He wasn't just Arthur Blackwood. He wasn't just Sarah. He was a pawn, a tool, a sacrifice. And the game wasn't about family. It was about something far older, something far more sinister, something cosmic. The diner ripped apart. The walls crumbled. The roof caved in. But Arthur didn't care. He was lost in the abyss of his own mind, drowning in the memories of 1,000 lifetimes. Then, a voice, soft but commanding. "Enough!" The earthquake stopped. The light faded. And the towering figure that was once Rose turned her attention to Arthur. "It's time you knew the truth," she said, her voice echoing with ancient power. "The truth about who you are and what you were meant." to be. She reached out a hand, and as her fingers brushed against his forehead, everything went black. When Arthur woke up, he was lying on the floor of the ruined diner. The sun was rising, casting long shadows across the wreckage. He was alone, or so he thought. He sat up, his head throbbing. He looked around. The diner was deserted, destroyed. But then he saw something. A small silver locket, lying in the dirt, glinting in the morning light. He picked it up. It was the one Sarah had shown him, the one with his baby picture inside. He opened it, but the picture was gone. In its place was a single word. Wake up. Wake up. That's it. 2 words. No explanation. Just wake up. Like he'd been sleepwalking through his entire life. Arthur stared at the locket, his hand trembling. What did it mean? Wake up to what? The fact that his mother was a psycho? That he might be a multiple personality nutcase? That little girls could turn into cosmic deities? He chucked the locket away. It clattered against a pile of rubble. He didn't need it. He didn't need any of it. He needed answers. He needed Lily and Rose. Where were they? He staggered out of the ruined diner. The sun was higher now, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It should have been beautiful. Instead, it just felt wrong. He started walking, back towards town, back towards something. He didn't know what. He passed a gas station, a payphone. He hesitated. Should he call the cops? Tell them everything? Yeah, right. They'd lock him up and throw away the key. He was already a fugitive, a crazy fugitive. He kept walking. Then he saw her, across the street, leaning against a lamppost. Lily. But she wasn't alone. Standing next to her was Sarah. Not his mother, not him, but the Sarah. The Sarah he'd mourned. The Sarah he'd loved. He stopped dead in his tracks. It couldn't be. She was dead. He'd seen her. Well, him, as her, in the basement. He crossed the street, his heart pounding. Sarah, he whispered. She turned, her eyes widening. Arthur? She looked confused, scared. What are you doing here? You're alive? He said, his voice cracking. But how? She shook her head. I don't know. I just woke up. In the woods. I don't remember anything. Lily stepped forward. He can't know, she said, her voice cold and hard. Sarah looked at Lily, then back at Arthur. Know what? Lily ignored her. She looked at Arthur, her eyes narrowing. You weren't supposed to remember. It was never meant to be this way. Remember what? Arthur demanded. Lily sighed. Fine. You want the truth? Here it is. You were never Sarah's son. You are Sarah's son. But not the Sarah you think you know. She paused, letting the words sink in. The Sarah you remember, the Sarah you loved, she was just a construct, a puppet, a vessel for something greater. Arthur stared at her, his mind reeling. Greater? Greater than what? Suddenly, a voice that made Arthur's blood run colder than ice. Greater than anything you can possibly imagine. He turned. Standing behind him was Rose, but not the Rose he had seen in the diner, not the ethereal being. This Rose was Tony. Tony, the bricksman. But how? Tony grinned, a cruel, knowing grin. Surprise, Arthur. Turns out family secrets run deep. He stepped forward, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out something small and silver. A locket. He snapped it open, and inside was a picture of Arthur, as a baby, being held by Tony. "That's right, Arthur," Tony said, his voice dripping with malice. "I'm your father." Arthur felt the world tilt. He was Tony's son, but that wasn't even the worst part. Tony stepped closer, his eyes gleaming with madness. "And Sarah, the Sarah you loved, she wasn't just your wife. She was my sister." Arthur stumbled back, his mind shattered. Tony was his father. Sarah was his aunt, and he had married her. And then Tony said the words that broke Arthur completely. "And Rose," he said, gesturing to the ethereal being now standing silently behind him. "Rose isn't just your half-sister. She's your mother too. We all are your family, Arthur. And it becomes a matter of time before everyone realizes just exactly how they all play in the grand scheme of everything. Tony was my father, Sarah was my aunt, and I had married her." And then Tony said the words that broke Arthur completely. "And Rose," he said, gesturing to the ethereal being now standing silently behind him. "Rose isn't just your half-sister. She's your mother too. We all are your family, Arthur." My head, it was going to explode. Family? This wasn't family. This was some kind of sick, twisted thing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But I couldn't move. I was frozen, trapped. Then a laugh, a soft, musical laugh. I looked up. Lily. She was smiling, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was predatory, like a cat playing with a mouse. "You poor thing," she said, her voice dripping with pity. "You really thought you knew anything, didn't you?" I didn't say anything. I couldn't. "You see, Arthur," she continued, her eyes gleaming. "Tony's wrong. Sarah's wrong. Even Rose, she doesn't know the whole truth." What are you talking about?" I stammered. Lily giggled. "Oh, Arthur, you're such a pawn." She stepped closer, her smile widening. "The truth is, you're not Tony's son. You're not Sarah's nephew. And Rose, she's not your mother." I stared at her, my mind reeling. "Who am I then?" I whispered. Lily leaned in close, her breath warm on my ear. "You, Arthur," she whispered, "are the key, the gate, the sacrifice." And then she kissed me. Not a friendly kiss, not a loving kiss, a cold, calculated kiss. And as her lips touched mine, something snapped. A jolt of energy surged through me. My vision blurred, my body convulsed. And then I saw it. The truth. The whole, horrifying truth. I wasn't Arthur Blackwood. I wasn't Sarah. I wasn't anyone I thought I was. I was something else. Something ancient. Something powerful. Something evil. I was Lilith. The original. The first. The mother of all demons. And Lily? She wasn't just a little girl. She was my vessel. My anchor. My daughter. Tony, Sarah, Rose, they were all just pawns in my game. A game that had been playing out for centuries. A game that was about to reach its terrifying conclusion. And Rose, the ethereal being, she wasn't my mother. She was my sister and my rival. We were locked in an eternal battle for power, a battle that would determine the fate of the world. I looked at Lily, my daughter, my vessel, and I smiled. A wide, knowing smile. "It's time," I said, my voice no longer Arthur's, but Lilith's. "It's time to claim what's rightfully mine." The ground began to shake, the sky turned black, and the world began to end. The ground trembled. Lilith. That was me? All the pieces slammed into place. The hunger for power, the twisted games, the everything. Tony, my father, was staring at me like I was a monster. Sarah, confused, lost. Rose, her ethereal form shimmering, her eyes filled with a cold, ancient pity. Lily, Lily was radiant. Power poured off her like heat from a furnace. "It's time," I said, my voice echoing with a darkness I never knew existed. "It's time for the world to finally kneel." Rose raised a hand. "You won't win, Lilith. I won't let you." And then they fought. A battle of wills, a clash of titans. The air crackled with energy. The sky ripped open, revealing glimpses of things, horrors, realities that shouldn't exist. Tony screamed. Sarah sobbed. The world teetered on the brink, but I didn't care. All I cared about was power, dominion, control. Then a voice, weak, faint, but familiar. "No!" I turned. Arthur. He was kneeling on the table. Ground, his face bruised and bloody. But his eyes, they were clear, focused. He was fighting back. He reached out a hand towards Sarah. "Sarah," he whispered, "remember." And then something shifted. Sarah's eyes widened, a flicker of recognition, a memory. She looked at me, at Lilith, and she recoiled in horror. "No," she whispered, "this isn't me. This isn't right." And then she turned on me. "Stop this, Lilith," she screamed. "You can't win." It was a distraction, a moment of weakness. But it was enough. Rose seized the opportunity. She unleashed a wave of pure, blinding light. It slammed into me, shattering my control. The memories flooded back. The pain, the guilt, Arthur. I was Arthur, and I didn't want this. I fought against Lilith, against the darkness, against the power that threatened to consume me. It was a losing battle, but I had to try. For Sarah, for Rose, for everyone. I focused all my will, all my strength, and I let go. The darkness receded, the power vanished, the sky returned to normal, and I was Arthur again. Broken, beaten, but free. Lilith was gone. Rose collapsed, her ethereal form fading. Lily screamed. Tony just stared. Sarah. She ran to me. "Arthur," she cried, hugging me tight. "You did it! You stopped her!" I looked at her familiar face, at her loving eyes. I think I did," I whispered. "But had I? The world was safe. For now. But Lilith was still out there, somewhere, waiting. And I knew she would be back. She always comes back. Don't wait. You need to subscribe right now to this channel for more mind-blowing stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these stories coming. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories about that ending. Did you see that coming? This is your moment. Don't wait even 1 second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this finale.